deep, way down the left side, way downfield, and it's caught for a touchdown! Touchdown! A marvelous catch! What a catch!
Well, hello! Thank you so much for taking time any day to check out this video, and welcome to the Gridiron. Before I get started, I just want to say thank you so much everyone out there who's been watching my videos. Thank you! If you can give this video maybe a thumbs up or leave a comment below or possibly even share this video, it would mean so much to me. But at least anyway, thank you so much for just taking time out of your day to check out this video. Thank you. Well, phew, wow. Another real barn burner there, huh? Another New York another New York Giants football game in the books, folks. Yeah. Well, you had to think that somewhere along the line, this result was a possibility. I mean, did we lose 38-2? No. Did anybody really think we were going to put up like 40 points, even 30? We haven't put up 30 points since I think Lincoln was in office. So 20-9. You had to think it was a possibility. I mean, the Giants I think were like 6.5-point underdogs. With Glennon being the backup quarterback. The Dolphins have been on a hot streak. They've won the last 4 games. Last 5 games. They've only given up 11.5 points per game over his last 4, so now that's come down. I think they're giving up like 10, 11 points a game over the last 5 games. So they haven't really been. They played the Ravens. Other than that, they haven't played any real offensive juggernauts. As we see with the Giants. But you had a. I can't say you saw this coming, but this had to be one of the outcomes that was possible. The defense did decently. Gave up 20 points on the road. We scored 9 points. We could have been 12, but Graham Gano with 10 seconds left to go. He missed 56-yard field goal. You tried. He would have had to made the field goal. We would have 10 seconds left, kicked an onside kick, recovered that, got a Hail Mary, threw that in the end zone, caught that for a touchdown, got down, got a 2-point conversion, and completed that, or ran a 2-point conversion, and just to tie the game to send it in overtime. So, but, a bunch of guys are out, our offensive line's in shambles, and we got a backup quarterback in there. It is what it is, guys. The defense was certainly adequate. The defense played well enough to win the football game, and once again, we have no offense. Glenn, I think started 8 out of 8. Then he missed a couple. I think Saquon dropped a couple balls that really didn't help. He was off on a couple. The interception he threw, the one down to Slayton, it worked out to be just as well as a punt, because by the time they got the ball, I think they had the ball at the Miami 3-yard line. So it worked out just about as good as a punt, although, of course, you want a completion there. But it looked like Slayton had like a step on the 2 defenders. And he threw the ball, and Slayton kind of slow up or whatever, and then the defenders caught up to him, jumped up, and intercepted the ball. Now, if the ball was laid out in front of Slayton, where he's going like this, easier said than done. I couldn't do it. If I had 50 throws, maybe I could get one in there like that. I'm not saying it's easy by any stretch of imagination, but maybe if Danny Dimes was in there, he might have had a better shot at it. If Mike Lennon, maybe he was a better quarterback, I don't know. Or maybe if he practiced more with Slayton, or, maybe he might have gotten the ball. Not an easy throw, but I think, Slayton seemed like he had a step on him. Maybe a better throw, might have had better results. Who knows? Then there was the one to Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram was running down the sideline, and he looked at it, and he threw the ball behind him, and Evan Ingram had to turn around, and he missed the ball. Not a good throw at all. Daniel Jones possibly, you saw the one with Daniel Jones with the Raiders, right? Evan Ingram's running down the sideline. Danny Dimes just lobs it up there. Evan Ingram's just running along, jumps up, boom, pulls it in for a touchdown. Evan Ingram was wide open on that one. In the NFL, he was wide open. I mean, a good throw, quite possibly, because he had, I don't know, a couple of yards, looks like, on a defender. And the ball was just badly thrown. I mean, that's a touchdown right there. So, I mean, they had their chances, but in the end, what I did like was, Freddie Kitchens, got the ball the best he could, or got some targets, I guess, the best he could. I mean, Evan Ingram had at least 5 targets. He had 4 catches for 61 yards. Kenny Golladay, had 5 targets. He had 3 catches for only 37 yards. That one shot he took, he caught the ball, and he stepped out of bounds. And then the one defender from Miami came, and, I don't know what the hell he was thinking, kind of when I'm hitting him, and he's out of bounds. I'm not sure why that wasn't a flag, but it is what it is. Saquon had 9 targets. That's pretty good. He hit 6 catches for a grand total of 19 yards. His longest reception was 11 yards. So basically, his 5 other receptions, he had 8 yards. I mean, he caught 6 passes for 19 yards. That had 3 yards of reception. His rookie season, he had 91 receptions with Shermer calling the plays. He had 91 receptions for he averaged 8 yards a reception. I mean, now it's like it's almost like a joke. It's like every time he catches the pass, he gets like a yard, 2 yards. I mean, it's like what's the difference? I mean, is Saquon fallen off that much? Is it the timing of the plays? Is it the design of the plays? Is it the play call? I mean, what is it? I mean, his rookie season, he's averaging 8 yards of reception, 91 receptions. Now he's getting 3 yards of reception. I mean, has he fallen off that much? Wow. Devontae Booker, he caught 4. So the 2 running backs had 10 catches. That's cool. But between the 2 of them, they had 37 yards. They caught the ball 10 times, 37 yards. They averaged 3.7 yards of reception on the running backs coming out of the backfield. I mean, I like that because Miami's sending the pressure. What do you got to do? You got to get rid of the ball quickly, which is great. But, I mean, you figure, especially with like Saquon, it's not like they're dumping the ball off to him and they have 7 guys ready there to tackle him. I mean, it's, pretty much it's a cover 0 a lot of times. They send guys, everybody in the secondary is covering somebody. There's no, like, deep safety or nothing like that. No, everybody, so it's like one-on-one. You got to make a man miss, and I guess Saquon just can't seem to do that anymore. Glennon was 23 out of 44, 187 yards, 4.3 yards per pass attempt. I mean, that is sad, very, very sad. He had no touchdowns, obviously. He had 1 interception, and he was sacked 3 times. The running backs, the running game wasn't too bad. Barkley was 11 out of 55. They had the back-to-back long runs there. They had a 23-yarder, I think, and then Booker had a 17-yarder, back-to-back, 2 runs, got 40 yards. Booker had 6 carries for 36 yards. Saquon was 11 for 55, so there were 17 carries for 91 yards. It's a shame they didn't run the ball more. Miami's defense running the ball wide is tough on them. So, but running it straight up the, it's a shame that they couldn't run the ball more. It wasn't like they were out of the game. I guess, who knows? They had 250 total yards of offense. They were 0 for 1 in the red zone. Third downs, there was 6 out of 16. I think that's 37.5%. So, you'd like to get a little bit better than that. 37.5% is not pathetic. Okay, it's borderline acceptable. You'd like it a little bit more than that. 8 out of 16 would be 50%. That would be fantastic. At this case, 7 out of 16 would be nice. But 6 is like the bottom of what you would like. Their offensive line, Matt Skura looked like he was in there, and then he looked like, I don't know if he got hurt or he got benched. They put Ben Bredesen in there. Then after one time I saw Ben Bredesen, shortly after that, I seen him, he was like laying on his back trying to pass protect, like somebody just ran him the heck over. Oh, the offensive line. Will Hernandez, he got burned for at least 1 sack. Oh my goodness. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if you just laugh at it or cry. I mean, it's sad. It's really, really sad. Graham Gano was 3 out of 4. I mean, he missed that one. It was a 56-yarder. I mean, it really wouldn't have mattered if he made it or not. I mean, we would have had like 10 seconds left to recover an onside kick, throw a Hail Mary, like a 60-yard Hail Mary pass, catch that in the end zone and go for a 2-point converter. I mean, we would have actually had to have scored a touchdown, which is something we don't like to do. So, I mean, but, I mean, he did 3 out of 4. The first 3 field goals he kicked kept us in the game, the best he could. We only had 3 penalties for, I think, 23 yards. That was fantastic. Now, this is the 7th game in a row where we've had less than 305 yards of total offense. 7th game in a row. I was going to say pathetic, but that doesn't even do it justice. I mean, that is just so freaking sad. Now I think it looks like Glennon might have a concussion, so if Daniel Jones can't play next week, see if Mike Glennon can pass concussion protocol if he does have a concussion, and see if he can play next week. If not, we're going to get Jake from State Farm in there. I had to say that. I've seen that on Facebook quite a bit. So Jake Fromm might be thrusted into action. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, we got Lewerke still out on the practice squad, and he wasn't elevated to the. So that just goes to show you how much the Giants think about him. Now, Freddie Kitchens, all right, he had last year. He called a game when the Giants played the Browns. Colt McCoy was the quarterback. We got a grand total of 6 points. Then last week, with our starting quarterback in there, we got a grand total of 13 points. Now, this week, with another backup quarterback, we got 9 points. We've scored 28 points in 3 games that he's called offensive plays. I mean, all different quarterbacks, I get it. But he's like 7-7. Okay? We played 3 games. He's 7-7. We've kicked 7 field goals, and we've scored 1 touchdown, which is worth 7 points. 7 field goals in 3 games. We've scored 1 touchdown with them called plays. We see. I mean, it might be a blessing in disguise. Maybe. I mean, if Jake Fromm has to get thrusted in there, I mean, because then maybe he might see what he might have. It's, maybe good and maybe kind of bad. I mean, because who knows who's going to be around at the end of the season. I mean, Jake Fromm might be in there. He might have a couple good have a good game or something, maybe, if he gets put in there. But then if there's a new coach or new GM, they may not, well, that's not my guy. He's out of here, you know what I mean? So, but I mean, at least might have an idea maybe what he can do if he does get put in action. Now, you got to figure we're 4-8. I mean, there's no playoffs this year. So, it's might be good to call some of the reserves up. Maybe get Isaiah Wilson in there. I mean, maybe the last game, get him in there for a couple series or something, the last 2 games or something. Get him in there, see what he can do. I mean, you want Ben Bredesen, you know what you got there. Call Isaiah Wilson up, put him in there at guard. I mean, that way maybe maybe not put him at tackle, or maybe he can get burnt if he's not ready. But maybe put him in at guard, see what he can do, see what you got maybe for next year. Put Jake Fromm in there. If you're going to keep him, see what he can do. Maybe you can let Mike Glennon go, and then maybe next year, if you got Daniel Jones, you know that. Well, you don't know if you're going to sign him for the 5th-year option or not. That you don't know. That's another story for another day. Because you don't know what the new GM's going to want to do. But I mean, you have Daniel Jones for next year, and then, as I said, maybe you let Glennon go, and then maybe you bring Jake Fromm in there, see what he can do. Glenn was sacked 3 times today. 2 of them are his fault. I mean, 2 of them. I mean, Jaelan Phillips, the one. I mean, my God. I mean, Glenn was standing back there looking, and Jaelan Phillips was like about 10 yards away and just started running at him, running. Mike Glennon's like this, looking, and Jaelan Phillips getting closer and closer to him, and Glennon's still looking. I mean, it's like. And then there was another sack he got. He held on to the ball for like 4 or 5 seconds. I mean. You got to get rid of the ball. At least he didn't fumble the ball. He had the one interception, which was deep. He did have some bad throws. He got sacked 3 times, but at least he held on to the ball, so you got to give him some credit there. Now, this is the 3rd game in a row the Giants have scored 13 points or less. We have 18 touchdowns so far this year in 12 games, 1.5 touchdowns a game. Tampa Bay has 42 touchdowns. They had 24 more touchdowns than we do in 12 games. So basically, they're scoring 2 more touchdowns a game than we are. Oh, I mean, at least. I mean, they're scoring 2 more times. I mean, also doesn't mean like maybe field goals and stuff like that, but I mean, they have 24 more touchdowns this season than we do. What a freaking joke. We have 43 touchdowns since the beginning of last year. Tampa Bay, I know they got a great team. I mean, that's why they won a Super Bowl. They got Tom Brady, I get. We have 43 touchdowns. Tampa Bay has 100. They have 57 more touchdowns than we do since the beginning of last year. 57. And we've only played a little more than a year and a half. Wow. Now we're averaging 16.8 points per game. We thought last year was bad at 17.5. Now we're down to 16.8. I mean, Jason Garrett's like, the clapper. Oh, yeah. Good job, guys. Looking good. Looking good, Giants. He's probably thanking them. Thank you for letting me go. Thank you for getting me out of that shithole you got there. That shithole organization you got. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. What a joke. Yeah, the defense played well. They only gave up 297 yards. They're on the road, 297 yards. And they only gave up 20 points. I mean, they kept them in the game. 2 was, 30 out of 41. His completion percentage, was, basically it was about a little less than 75%. But he only threw for 229 yards. He had 5.3 yards per pass attempt, which is pathetic, absolutely pathetic. Logan Ryan, after the game, kind of gave a little, shot at him, I guess you want to call it. He heard that Glenn, I think, had a concussion or something like that, and Logan Ryan was like, "Well, you can pencil me. I think he played quarterback in high school, I think it was." But he said something like, "You can put me in. I'll be the 3rd string quarterback or something like that." Okay. He's like, "I can throw 2-yard out patterns like Tua does." And well, I mean, a lot of his some are over the middle, But I mean, it's like, a lot of them are just like 2 yards, 3 yards. The guy maybe catches it and gets a few more yards, something. But I mean, you throw the ball 41 times, you average 5.3 yards. 7 is like average. 5.3 is really sad. I mean, Glennon was even worse than that. But Logan Ryan's got a point. He completed like 74% of his passes. But a lot of dink and dunk. The Giants gave up another TD in the final 2 minutes of the first half. The Giants have been outscored 52-0 in the final 2 minutes of the first half. They've given up 12 games. They've given up 7 touchdowns and a field goal. They've given up 8 scores in the 12 games this year in the final 2 minutes of the half. It's unbelievable. As soon as the other team gets the ball, we haven't scored in the final 2 minutes of a half. This whole year, first half, haven't scored. The other team gets the ball, and they just start walking down the field. We can't stop them. It's unbelievable. Absolutely amazing. Oshane Ximines, the X-Man, he was another healthy scratch. He's been a healthy scratch many times this year. They said I have to wait and see. Because he's still under contract for next year, so it'd be interesting if Judge is still here. Judge might just, let him go. If Judge isn't here, we'll have to wait and see what the new coach and GM wind up doing. But he's a healthy scratch for a reason. The Dolphins their rushing attack was not very good, and it was not very good today. They ran the ball 25 times for 68 yards, 2.7 yards per rush. So the Giants defense did very good against the run. They made Tua beat them. And Tua did beat them, but they also beat them because we have no offense. When you score no points, the other team has to score very little, and they want to beat you. So they made Tua beat them, and that's what wound up happening. The Russian attack was pretty much non-existent. Giants actually had a good game defending the run. This is one of the few games all year they actually did good defending the run. The defense, unfortunately, had a streak of 13 games in a row with a turnover. That was snapped. They also had the NFL's longest streak of 8 games in a row with an interception. That was snapped. They didn't get any turnovers at all today. A couple turnovers today would have been huge. I mean, something to set up another field goal try, or maybe we got to get or something where the Dolphins had a couple of long drives that ended in touchdowns. Well, that's one of the reasons why you want them to have a long 15, 16, 17 play whatever drive. Because the odds of a 15, 16, everything going right, 50, without you turning the ball over, without there being some type of big sack or a penalty or something called on you, things like that happen during those long drives. So, during the course of one of those long drives, if you get any type of fumble or interception, that just nullified, and we could have nullified maybe a touchdown. That would have been huge. Huge. The 2 touchdowns they had, it was just, looks like they were like blown coverages. The one for Isaiah Ford, Tua rolled out, and it looked like, I think McKinney was covering him. And there was like 2 or 3 guys at that side of the field, and they were all being covered. And all of a sudden, like, McKinney was covering him, and then like Tua was rolling out, and then Tua stopped, and like McKinney like stopped, and Isaiah Ford, he kept running to the out of bounds there. And he was standing like right on the out of bounds, and Tua hit him. He got his feet in, touchdown. It was like McKinney like stopped. It was like McKinney and Bradbury were over there. I don't know if McKinney was supposed to stop and Bradbury was supposed to pick up. I don't know, but it looks like somebody blew the coverage on that one, because all of a sudden he was like wide open. I mean, we're not talking Jerry Rice here. We're talking Isaiah Ford. All right. I mean, he was covered. I mean, looked like it was a blown coverage. Then you got the Hollins one. All right. That looked like Bradbury was covering him, and then like there was like 3 guys on that side, and I think like Bradbury and like Logan Ryan went covering one guy, and Hollins broke free into the end zone, and when Tua lobbed the ball to him, he was like wide open. I mean, so I'm not sure. I mean, I think Logan Ryan and Bradbury were like covering one guy, converged on like one guy to maybe cover one guy. And then Hollins broke free, ran like scot-free into the end zone. I don't know if Bradbury was supposed to break off and get to him or not, but that looked like a broken coverage as well, too. I mean, 2 broken coverages. I can't say it cost us the game. I mean, they might have kicked 2 field goals there, and we might have lost 12-9. Who knows? Jaylen Waddle, that dude's a beast, ain't he? He had another 9 catches for 90 yards. He's got 86 catches so far this year. He's on pace for, I think, like 112 catches this rookie season. He has 86 catches for 850 yards. Now, he's not like a burner or not like that. He averages 10 yards of reception. This game, he got 10 yards of reception. Coming into this game, he was averaging 9.9 yards of reception. But it just gets open. It's amazing. I mean, good hands, good route runner, catches the ball, not flashy or nothing like that. Just gets open, gets a catch, gets a first down. Simply amazing. What a phenomenal draft pick that was. Absolutely phenomenal. Now, we did get 2 sacks. Azeez Ojulari and Quincy Roche had him. Azeez Ojulari broke the Giants' rookie record. I mean, the rookie record, Lawrence Taylor has it, but it was in 1981. They started taking, in 1982 is when they started making the sack an official stat. B.J. Hill had 5.5 sacks his rookie season. The guy we traded for Billy Price to go to we sent him to Cincinnati. But B.J. Hill had 5.5. Azeez had 5.5. But Azeez actually got one. So now he has 6.5. So now he has the rookie record. But Quincy Roche got a sack too. So he's up to 2. Quincy Roche hasn't, I think, played in 8 games. But in the beginning he played very sparingly. So between the 2, they got 8.5 sacks. Now, if Quincy Roche played in all 12 games, if he played a lot in all 12 games, he might have another sack, maybe 2. So, I mean, between the 2 of them, I mean, if Quincy Roche played as much as Azeez Ojulari did the whole season, they might be up to maybe about 10 sacks between the 2 of them. I mean, they're not going. Nobody's going to lead the league in sacks, neither one of them. But, I mean, after 12 games, if each one, between the 2, they have maybe 10 sacks combined between the 2 of them. maybe between the next 4 games, maybe each one gets one more sack. I mean, between your 2 rookie edge rushers, because they're both rookies, if you got 12 sacks between the 2 of them, I mean, you'd take that. Maybe next year, maybe they can get a little bit better. Maybe, maybe instead of 12, maybe they get 13 or 14 between the 2. I mean, it's going to be kind of a sack by committee. We're not going to have anybody on the team that's going to get 15 or 20 sacks. That's not happening. I mean, if you can get some guys, 5 or 6 from him, 5 or 6 from him, maybe Leonard Williams gets 5 or 6 or 7 or something like that. Maybe in the draft next year, you grab another edge rusher who grabs another 5 or 6 or something like that. Going to be sacked by committee. But I mean, congratulations, Azeez. You got a brand new record. You still got. It's a long season. So you still got 5 more weeks left to go. Maybe you can grab another sack or 2. Maybe you can get to 7.5 or maybe 8.5 sacks, which would be phenomenal. Now, all in all, I said you can't really complain about the defense, right? On the road, you gave up 20 points. You only gave up 297 yards of total offense. I mean, as pathetic as our offense was, as lack of offense that we had, I mean, our defense only gave up less than 300 yards. I mean, you can't. I mean, they did. Even maybe a couple blown coverages here, led to touchdowns. I mean, you can't complain. They really, really did a good job. Now next week they got the Chargers. They got back-to-back road games. We'll have to see what Daniel Jones is up to. We'll have to see what Mike Glenn is up to. We're going to see if Jake Fromm from State Farm gets thrust into action. Now, the good thing is that the Giants and the Bears both lost. They're both 4-8. Now, there's only 4 teams now that are worse than the record-wise. They're worse. The Jets are 3-9. The Jags are 2-10. The Texans are 2-10, and the Lions are 1. The Lions, congratulations, Lions. Congratulations. About time. You guys certainly deserve the victory. Congratulations to you. The Lions are 1-10-1. So Seattle won, which is huge because they only had 3 wins. They were definitely picking before us. Now we got 4 wins. The Bears have 4, and now Seattle with their 30-23 victory over the 49ers, they got 4 wins. So I'm not exactly sure where, but we're drafting anywhere as of right now. There's still 5 games. Anything can happen. We could be drafting in the teens by the time it's all over. I'm just saying right now. We're drafting as low as 5 and as high as 7. We got 2 picks from 5 to 7. So, I mean, with 2 picks in the top 7 at the absolute worst, we can certainly do some damage. And hopefully we do some damage on the offensive line. Well, as always, guys, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to check out this video. You guys stay safe out there and go Giants. Woo!